Welcome to the Around the Association, the podcast. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking with you on Thursday morning, the All-Star Pre-Picks edition, or as we call the Time to Pick and Choosing edition of the Around the Association podcast. So for the next 12 minutes, we'll talk about everything going on in the NBA this weekend. Really, this has been a week of picking and choosing, kind of like a schoolyard idea concept around the league. Excuse me about that, but the league this week has been an interesting case of what's going on, with teams having team and player meetings. You have LeBron and Steph choosing all-stars, among other things going across the entire league. So let's start with the top news of the week. And really, it's been about team meetings this week. Up in Cleveland, they had a era of grievances out in Cleveland this week because, as we all know, the Cavs have been struggling over the last 10 games. I think they're 3-7 in the last 10, and it's come to the point now where we're now having team meetings. Unfortunately, in most situations with team meetings, you don't have front office people and head coaches and coaching staffs in player-only meetings because situations like this can potentially happen. And as we all know, in Cleveland, it's a complete mess. It all started with Kevin Love leaving the game early Oklahoma City on Saturday with the flu, only played 3 minutes, checked out, went home, and then the Cavs ended up giving up 148 points, which is the most LeBron James' career, and they were embarrassed on national television, 148 to 124. And kind of a similar situation to David Blatt being embarrassed on national television after the Golden State game a couple years ago, which got him fired and got Tyronn Lue the job in Cleveland at that point. Well, they had a players-only meeting earlier on in the week, and it didn't go so well. No big players in the locker room, quote-unquote, reportedly has been Isaiah Thomas calling out Kevin Love's questioning to leave the game early. It turned to the point where Derrick Rose was being called out for missing a whole bunch of games because of the fact that he had personal problems going on with the team. In a situation where the grievances were aired, it was not pretty. Guys pretty much were just calling each other out in the situation. Then the coaching staff got involved. The Cavs have at this point lost control, and so one person that is around the team has told me this is worse than any situation they've had in the return of LeBron James. So they've had issues before in the locker room. I mean, even going back to the Blatt situation, it was pretty bad during the Blatt situation, but they've never seen nothing like this. It's really to the point where now the Cavs are looking to start trading players. Reportedly this week, the team was close to acquiring George Hill, among other players, in a deal that would probably send either Channing Frye, Derrick Rose, Iman Shumpert, among other players, to Sacramento to get the veteran point guard out of Sacramento and into a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform. Now, quickly on that note, George Hill's not going to push the meter and not going to fix things in Cleveland. What's going to fix things is the fact that they have to really blow this roster up. Two, Tyronn Lue's got to change these substitution patterns. At one point in time, he took out Kyle Korver and left LeBron James with no shooters on the floor. If you trade Channing Frye at any point in time, that just leaves really your only deep threat shooter is Kyle Korver, because J.R. Smith hasn't hit a shot, I don't think, since last year, literally 2017, and can't hit the backside of an iron. LeBron James is a decent three-point shooter. Isaiah Thomas's game is still in Boston, still trying to pack up and make sure he still moves to Cleveland in the process. Jay Crowder hasn't hit any of the shots and played the defense that he did in Boston last year, and the only other player hitting shots is the guy they're attacking in the locker room, which is Kevin Love. On the other hand, Cleveland knows if they have to move Kevin Love, you have to get a superstar back in return. DeMarcus Cousins, DeAndre Jordan. Those are guys you have to really look at in any type of situation when it comes to if you're moving Kevin Love. Now, mind you, we all know Anthony Davis is not going anywhere in New Orleans. And DeMarcus Cousins, you're definitely at some point in time, if you're trying to trade for DeMarcus Cousins, you must know that DeMarcus Cousins is a free agent at the summertime and can potentially leave. And we all know he's not staying in Cleveland. Cleveland kind of made this own mess by the simple fact of trading Kyrie Irving, but that is another story for another day. Tonight, unfortunately for the NBA, is the All-Star selection show that never is going to take place. LeBron James, Steph, and Curry won the All-Star captaincy and were able to pick their own teams. Instead of doing this on national television, they're going to do it on a national conference call, meaning between Curry, LeBron, and the NBA are going to have a conference call on picking who the All-Stars are. And potentially could be the most exciting thing the NBA has seen in years. We're not even going to know what's going to happen because guess what? Twitter's going to have to leak this whole thing out. The NHL has been doing this for years. For those who haven't followed the National Hockey League, I know most of the country hasn't. The NHL has been doing this for years. They actually have a televised show when it comes to this where you literally have guys putting on jerseys and walking across the stage for the fans. It's amazing. Yes, there's a guy who's picked last. So what? We've all been through school. We've all, played dodgeball. We played basketball, played some kind of sport where people had to choose. And there's always one person chosen last. Most cases that person chose last has basically had the fuel to become the MVP of the game. It just happens that way. There's always going to be somebody picked last. In a game full of all-stars, do you really feel bad if you're picked last? I don't think so. So instead of LeBron and Steph picking in front of a national audience, getting everybody hyped up and excited, now we just have to play a speculation game until these rosters are officially released. So for those who don't know how the All-Star voting system works, is that the fans voted for the top vote getters and also the 5 All-Stars starters in each conference. So 3 forwards, 2 guards, so on and so forth. The 2 league vote getters across the league are now considered captains. And so how the selection process works is, like I said, the fans chose the 8 other starters in the group, and then the coaches chose the reserves. The coaches chose the 11. The remaining players to be reserves. And so how the drafting works is that Steph and LeBron would basically go old school style. LeBron will pick first because he was the highest vote getter and choose one of the starters on his team to be first. After the starters are gone, then they start going to the reserves. And then at that point in time, guys are chosen that way. So it makes for very interesting matchups. Guys you don't get to see play on the same team, different conference bias. Some players might choose teammates. Some players might. So here's some interesting storylines as we get into this all-star selection process. Now, LeBron does hold the number 1 overall pick. Among the starter pool, you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, DeMarcus Cousins, Joel Embiid. I think that's it. DeMar DeRozan are the starters in the Eastern Conference. So let's look at this for a second. LeBron picks first. Now, I don't think he's going to take Kyrie Irving. I don't think he's going to take Kevin Durant. So my quote-unquote first pick of the draft, I think LeBron's going to go to is James Harden. A guy who can get buckets anywhere on the floor, a guy who can stretch the floor, tremendous three-point shooter. The step-back game is completely insane. Another scorer. He's probably the potential league MVP as of right now. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense for him to take James Harden number 1. I think Steph does go with his teammate and Kevin Durant number 2 because of the fact that their teammates. Kevin Durant has been quite possibly the best two-way player in the entire league all season long. He's blocking shots at an insane rate. He's scoring like he always does, shooting from a high percentage because when you have 3 other All-Stars in the team, it makes it pretty easy to get open shots, Kevin. Don't come at Clint Capella again. Talk about his job is easy because you're playing with 3 other All-Stars. It makes life easier. So other guys I think can be taken in this situation. I think LeBron does go for Joel Embiid. You would see, I think Curry will take Kyrie Irving. I think this is going to be the game of trolls. I mean, I think you'll see LeBron and Giannis, and I think James Harden on the same team. I think Embiid will be down low, and I think on the other side you'll see. I think LeBron will end up with DeRozan at the end, and I think Steph's team is going to be him, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis. That's going to be a show among itself. Now, mind you, the reserves go next, and then. From the way it looks, Curry does pick the top reserve. Among that pool is guys like Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson. You have Kristaps Porzingis. You have Bradley Beal, Al Horford, John Wall, among other players that are selected. Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, who's having a tremendous season, by the way. Big shout out to my man Victor up in India. Also going to be doing the dunk contest as well too. The guy I think is going to be picked last in this game, ironically, will be LeBron's teammate Kevin Love. I think LeBron will take Kevin Love with the final pick of the draft. And Kevin Love will go nuts in the All-Star game, by the way. The selection show is going to happen today, and then TNT will broadcast it tonight before their normal Thursday basketball games. But the NBA just blew a complete chance to really, honestly, make something special out of something that we hold dear to us in the NBA community, which is All-Star Weekend. So, other news going around the NBA this week. There was a second team meeting going on. That was in Washington. Now, reports that come out of Washington said that this team meeting was something that was done backwards. And I say backwards is that it didn't work the way that the Wizards team thought it was going to work. If you ever play NBA 2K and you have the My Player mode or you do the My GM mode or those things, there is a button where you press to say you want to encourage the player, and then it backfires. Well, in Washington's case, they hit the button and it backfired. The Wizards had a team meeting after being blown out on the road in Charlotte last week, and Bradley Beal, those guys, it didn't work. Team meeting is supposed to bring teams together, not pull them apart. As we all learned in Dallas the other night, that John Wall is not a liked man by a guy named J.J. Barea. The Wizards are struggling right now. They can't figure out the continuity. Washington is one of those teams in the Eastern Conference that can make the conference finals very easily. They have the talent with Wall, the All-Stars, Bradley Beal and John Wall, in the same backcourt. They have Martin Gortat. You have, You have Markieff Morris. They have Otto Porter, who's playing some of his best basketball of the year, one of the best corner 3-point shooters in the entire league. Very accurate from out there. The bench, outside of Kelly Oubre, blah. This is the problem. Washington is stuck in the Eastern Conference where outside of Cleveland, Boston's the best team in the Eastern Conference on record, but I don't know if Boston's going to make it through the playoffs because of the fact of they're very young and don't have much continuity. When I say continuity, not many of those guys have played in high pressure situations other than Kyrie and the guys who returned from last year. They're basically basing their season on guys that were not on the roster last year or not played major roles. You're asking Jason Tatum to play a huge role that Gordon Hayward was supposed to play. Now, Tatum's been outstanding as a rookie, but let's see what happens. Jason's not playing a 35, 40-game season in college. By the time you get to, April and May, you're at game number 85, 90, 95 in a grinding season. Let's see how these rookies really hold up. Jaylen Brown, it's his second year. Are you expecting him to carry this team as well, too? Because there's going to be moments where Kyrie can't score offensively. And there's going to be ways, there's guys in the Eastern Conference that would try to shut down Kyrie. So that's why I think Cleveland's going to break through the East. But in Washington's case, they're still having issues. Jan Mahimi's still not playing up to the contract. Well, contract he never should have got in the first place. But, Shortansky's been okay. They don't have Bogdanovich, who they had last year, who can knock down 3-point shots. They don't have a guy off the bench that can do that. They don't have that microwave they need. Maybe Washington finds them at the trade deadline. Last year at the deadline, we had guys being moved, including DeMarcus Cousins. We found the All-Star game that he was being moved. That could potentially be moved at the deadline. Speaking of guys being moved at the deadline, there's been also one more rumor coming out of the camp of the Charlotte Hornets. There have been teams trying to inquire about Kemba Walker. I mentioned this earlier on in the week that Michael Jordan did say Kemba Walker was not on the trading block, but he would listen to offers. AKA, listen, if you're going to hand me an All-Star, we'll talk the deal. He mentioned Kawhi Leonard, and we all heard about Kawhi's situation earlier in the week. Michael Jordan's not getting Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's a Team Jordan athlete. It would be great to see Kawhi in Charlotte. It's not happening. I think the Spurs are going to try and make the right LeBron James to keep Kawhi Leonard happy. Otherwise, your star players could be disgruntled, and we can have another situation where, not to take DeMarcus Cousins, but we can have a situation, maybe like a Kyrie Irving situation, where it's kind of held under the table, and then he's moved. But Kemba Walker could be the All-Star on the move. And I say All-Star because he did make the All-Star team last year, not an All-Star team this year. And it comes to that. Speaking of All-Star teams, real quick before I jump off this podcast, this quick pod, All-Star Snubs. Now, there are guys in the All-Star team that did not make it. Paul George, Chris Paul, Lou Williams, among other players that were left off the All-Star team, Andre Drummond. But when you look at the All-Star rosters, when I say All-Star Snubs, if these guys are snubbed, what All-Star are you taking away in this situation? Like if you're Paul George, do you think he deserves it over Draymond Green? Does he deserve it over, other forwards in the Western Conference that made it? LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, the Spurs are one of the best teams in the league. Does LaMarcus Aldridge not deserve to be an All-Star since he's the best player of that team this year? When you look at Chris Paul, are you taking away Damian Lillard's All-Star selection? Are you taking away a guy like, Klay Thompson's All-Star selection? The same thing with Lou Williams. I think Lou Williams should have been an All-Star this year, but I just couldn't figure out which player you're going to take away. Even Andre Drummond, who went on social media this week and said that he should have been an All-Star. I get it. Question is, do you think he deserved it more than Al Horford, who's the best team in the Eastern Conference, whose numbers might not be off the charts, but what he does everywhere else, the best passing big man in the league, he also facilitates one of the best offenses in the league, sorry, Kyrie Irving, and you're not having the All-Star game? Not a chance. But check me out on Twitter at NBADT29 on Twitter. AroundTheAssociation.com is my writing home. Also check out my news on Florida National News. So I'll be reporting another pod tomorrow about the All-Star selections and also go over some of the contests for the All-Star game. This is Dane Thompson, Around the Association podcast. We'll catch you guys later.